Today, a Martin D18 is on the bench that needs a little adjustment. The action is a little high, and right off the bat, I'm noticing a couple of strange things going on here. Let's take a look and see what we can do to fix this guitar up. So this guitar is a 1949 Martin D18, and when Martin first started making the 18 style guitar in the mid-1800s, they were built using a spruce top and rosewood back and sides. However, around the mid-1920s, they changed the woods to a spruce top and mahogany back and sides, which this guitar is. The X-bracing pattern that was traditional in Martins was allowed to be moved forward because of the larger size guitar that this is, which allowed the top to move freely and gave it a much more responsive sound. The large body shape is a dreadnought size, hence the D in the title. The dreadnought gets its name from the 1906 battleship, the HMS Dreadnought, which was a large battleship, and this was a large guitar, so there you go. Also, when the D18 was first introduced, it was a 12 fret neck, but in 1934, they changed it to a 14 fret neck, which meant that it met the body joint at the 14th fret rather than the 12th fret. So there's a little history for you on the D18. Now let's get back to this guitar. So one of the strange things I'm noticing is this belly on the back of the bridge. It's a little unusual. It's concentrated in one area. So I took a look inside the guitar and noticed I had a loose brace. One of the X braces has come loose right next to the bridge plate, and it seems to be pulling away from the brace, which could cause this concentrated bellying. So I take my trusty palette knife with a little sticky sandpaper on both sides, clean out between the brace and the top, put a little fish glue on the end of a feeler gauge. I work the glue under that loose brace, being careful to clean up any glue spillage with a damp rag, and then clamp it in place with a sound hole clamp. And then once it's dry, I'll check to see if I got any improvement. I think there is a little improvement. That seems to take away some of the bellying. I knew this wasn't the original pickguard. I found this in the case. It's quite a bit different than this one. This might be the original pickguard. It seems fine. I don't know why they would change it. Maybe they didn't know where it was, because when I opened up this little door, it was stuck right there. So it's like, oh, where's that pickguard? It's in here somewhere. Don't know where it is. Meanwhile, there it is. The other weird thing is this bridge. It's been reworked, I can tell. Probably to avoid doing a neck reset, they brought the bridge height down to get the action to be more playable. But take a look at these wings, how they sanded them down, a little heavy-handed on one side. But there's also these two plugs here. I don't know what's up with that. Looking on the inside of the guitar, I do see evidence of some sort of fastener in there. There's not much I can do about that. In order to get this action down, I only need to reduce the bass side of this saddle. I need to come down 1/32 of an inch. However, this glued-in saddle is a little difficult to get out, so I'm kind of opting to sand down using a radius block and bring it to its correct height. One thing to take note of, you can see there's a compensation on the saddle. So the E's forward, the B's back, the G, the D, the A is forward, and then the E comes back. I'm going to try to maintain that after I sand it down. I'm going to check the intonation and see if that's going to be correct or not. Also, I've taken measurements where each string rides over the saddle and what the height of the saddle is. So it's really just a matter of sanding and checking and sanding and checking until I get the right height, maintaining the radius as I go. I prepare the fingerboard and frets for a new set of strings, making sure I polish all the frets and oil the board. Okay, now checking the action. I've got about 5/64 on the low, 5, 4.5, 4, 4, and on the high E it's 4 still. So that seems much better to me. It's right where I wanted it. Now let's check the intonation. Low E looks a little sharp. A. Pretty close. D. A little flat. A little flat on the G. The B's right on. And the E's a little flat. Here I take a small file and adjust the compensation on the saddle. So now we got a nice saddle that has been brought down. I didn't have to take it out. There's probably lots of schools of thought on this process. If you do this kind of work, let me know what you do in this situation when you have a through saddle that's been glued in. How do you do the adjustments? Let me know in the comment section. This guitar's also got this kind of a weird dark stain in the finish that the owner wants me to see if I can get this out, but this might be right in the lacquer. I'm going to try and buff it out. I'm going to put a little fine polishing compound. And do a little test area. You just do this by hand. It seems to be taking it off. It's real gunky. Let me try and buff that a little bit. I'm always a little leery about doing any work to finishes on these old guitars, but I don't think this is an original finish, and I'm just trying to get a little bit of that color to go away. So I'm being careful not to really do too much. I think I'm going to stop right there. There's not much I can do about that ridge right there. Sometimes you better just leave it alone. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you on the next one.